welcome back to my channel. This week's video is going to be talking about how I got my first job, my first odd job, and my first actual job. The reason I'm doing this video is I got some questions from young people out there who just graduated from university, and they're wondering, how do I make it into the job market? Where do I start? What first salary is acceptable? Some of these young people managed to get odd jobs at universities, others just focused on their degrees or courses, and now they've graduated, but what next? Like, how do you actually penetrate the job market? So before I get into the video, have you subscribed? Like, seriously, have you? Subscribing doesn't cost anything, it doesn't take much of your time, and here you are watching, but you don't want to support a sister. Like, if you're not a hater, what the hell are you? If you're not a hater, what the hell are you? So please subscribe, support a sister. Anyway, getting into the video right now, so sit tight. It's going to be a bit longer than what I usually post. Enjoy. Feel free to share with whoever you think it can benefit, and leave a comment below if you feel there's something that I said that you would like to emphasize upon, or something you feel that I've missed out, and I will be happy to reply to you. I will be replying to all the comments whatsoever the quantity. Yeah, all right, let's get into it. Before I get into the details of how I got my first job and what it is exactly I did, let me give you a bit of a background regarding my education so that you could understand how events unfolded. So I went to primary school in Uganda. Those of you who've watched my Get to Know Me video know that I'm a Ugandan and currently I'm based in Nairobi. And the name of the school was called St. Kizito Primary School. I would say it was a traditional school, Catholic, mixed school. And I was in St. Kizito Day School from primary 1 to primary 5. And after primary 5 is when I moved to Aga Khan Primary School from my primary 6 and primary 7. After Aga Khan is when I now moved on to Taiba International School. It's currently known as Taiba International School. And guys, hey, that was a bit of a controversy. Those of you who remember those days, if you didn't go to the traditional schools like Namagunga, Nabisunsa, Gayaza, it was like as if you were a spoiled kid. Most parents saw international schools as, schools that are for, the rich, or schools whereby the students don't amount to anything in life. And I was really proud of my dad. My dad is the real MVP. Like, he was like, nah, I don't care about what y'all say. I want the best for my daughter, and I feel like her going to this school is what is best for her. And indeed, I can say that joining an international school as opposed to a traditional school accounts for 90% of who I am, because on top of academics, they emphasized other things, what it takes to be a wholesome human being. I remember one of the 3 things that they used to really emphasize was confidence, creativity, critical thinking. We would sing this song, guys, like confidence, creativity, critical thinking. They would drum it into us. If you don't have confidence, creativity, or critical thinking, it's going to be really hard for you to make it in life. They would encourage us to join clubs, and they had what they call National Theatre. We'd all do a theatre production every year. So I'm not advertising the school, disclaimer, they've not told me to do this video for them, but I feel personally it really helped me get to understand who I am, get to understand what I love, and that is actually what gave me the confidence to go forward and get my first job. All right, so we talked about confidence, creativity, and critical thinking. How did those factors help me? So I used to be someone who loved to read a lot. Like, if you brought any book, a novel in front of me, I'll just absorb it and eat it wholesomely, because I love knowledge. I just love the way authors would twist words and use metaphors and similes. So my love for reading, of course, led to my love for writing. In my free time, I would just write poems and articles. And one of my favorite things to do was every Saturday I'd go to the library and read the newspapers. And there was a particularly really interesting section that I used to like in the New Vision. It is Uganda's major newspaper. It was then and it even still is now. So they had a section in the newspaper. It used to be usually be in the middle pages of the newspaper, whereby they'll just do articles for teenagers, latest fashions, latest music and movies. So I would wake up every Saturday, go to the library and read the works of those writers, because to me, they were my heroes and celebrities. Until one day, after I left a peer mentoring group, and then of course they sang confidence, creativity, critical thinking, I thought to myself, hey, what is so special about these writers? They're teenagers like me, they speak and write English like me, so why not me? Why not me? Why can't I also be in the newspapers? So I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. They usually give the editor's email at the bottom of the article. So I wrote down my first article and I sent it with excitement, with so much excitement, thinking that it was going to be published. Unfortunately, 1 month, 2 months, 5 months down the road, nothing was published. I was like, you know what, maybe the editor didn't see it, because I know they received so many emails. So I sent 2 more. I was like, you know what, I'm going to send 2, not just 1 this time, 2. So in case he misses this one, maybe this one will get to him. So I sent 2 more articles, very excited. Guys, those 2 were not published, but I didn't give up. I mean, confidence. You need to know who you are, and you need to understand that to get what you want, you need a certain amount of persistence. The 16-year-old me somehow knew that. I persisted. I sent 3 more. After about 6 articles, guys, I wake up one Saturday morning, I go to the library, look for the newspaper as usual, open the section. Hey, yours truly was published. I kid you not, that was the happiest day. One of the highlights of my teenage life. Like, I could not believe it. My name was right there in the nation's leading newspaper. I was so excited, and I remember looking around in the library. Okay, is anyone seeing my name? I just, I felt like leaving copies of the paper just to open so that people can immediately access the page where my article was. I remember getting phone calls from my mom and dad saying, oh my God, we're so proud of you, this is amazing, friends and family. And what topped it all up is, after the article was published, I got an email from the editor saying, oh my God, that was really good writing. Why don't you come to our offices and we see how we can discuss more ideas of how you can write for this section of the newspaper. So yeah, that is how I started writing. I started with articles, and then I went over to doing columns. Guys, columns, my very own columns. I decided that my very first column is going to be titled Love, Lust and Lies. I know, very dramatic title. But the essence of why I chose this was I wanted to breach or indulge in the topic that was taboo by then, especially to teenagers, topics to deal with abstinence, having safe sex, sexual abuse, being abused by teachers, family members, because by then the HIV pandemic was really widespread and there was a really alarmingly high rate of teenage pregnancy. So I was like, okay, teenagers don't really listen to adults when they talk to them about this sorts of topics. So how about if it came from a fellow teenager? We just in a cool way discuss things to do with using protection, when is the right time to have sex. And I ran this column for a couple of months. I can just give you a bit of examples of what the column looked like. And this is one of my articles. As you can see, the title here is Russian Roulette. And this is like the heading of the column, Love, Lust and Lies. They even put like this ribbon, to indicate what it was about. So Russian Roulette was basically talking about how having sex before the right time or having unprotected sex is like playing a Russian roulette with your life, because you don't know when it is exactly. You could get an STD or you could get pregnant and probably kicked out of school. Another example of my article is was called Friends with Benefits. You can see the title, the logo, and it was really quite, I think about 500 words was the maximum or minimum. So that was my very first column, Love, Lust and Lies. Like I said, I ran for a couple of months, and then I decided that okay, enough was enough. It's time to deal with something new, a topic that is fresh and also not ordinarily dealt with adults. And that is when I went for my next column. Now, my next column was inspired by the fact that at that time, remember, I was 16 going on 17, so my dad would encourage my brother and I to look for activities that we can do to earn a bit of money, extra money here and there. He would talk to us about saving. And then I wondered, okay, why is it that it's dad having to tell us this? Why is it that this is not an actual topic that is taught in high school? Why learn biology, chemistry, physics? Is it that they thought we were not good enough to learn about money? Is it that money is only for when you are done with university and you're getting a job? So I was like, okay, this would be a wonderful next column to have. And I decided to tackle the stereotype that when you're young, you can't make money, because that's what most young people were beginning to think, because the subject of money was only brought up at a particular age. So the title of my next column was called Young and Rich, because I wanted to encourage young people that being young cannot stop you from being rich. You can be rich in the mind with ideas, you can be rich in your heart, you can be rich in your pockets, and it's all about knowing what the right and wrong things are to do regarding money. So just to give you some samples of the articles that I wrote, here you are. Make Money Your Friend. By now I had graduated to even having my own cartoon, picture head to represent what I looked like. And then here we have It Is Possible. This was more an article on the inspiration and motivation side, telling young people that it is possible, no matter their age, no matter their background, it is possible for them to go after whatever it is that they want. And then we have here, Trash That Poor Mindset. There you go, my cartoon, the title of the column, Young and Rich, and then Trash That Poor Mindset. This was basically talking about how most people are poor because of their mindset, the way they think, the way they perceive most things to be. And your thoughts are not your reality. If you change your thoughts, then you can change your reality, if that makes sense. So I put it in a language that teenagers could understand, in a way that was cool. I used slang. I just basically tried to make the idea less taboo. And from the reviews I got, people really, really enjoyed the articles. I know that many of you are wondering, okay, fine, she's told us what her first job was, what she did, blah, 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 but how much exactly was she earning? Don't you worry, I'm going to tell you. So, for the first articles, I wasn't exactly paid. It was until the editor called me in and we discussed the terms and conditions. I told him about my column ideas, gave him my bank details. Then now he added me onto the paying scale. And per article, I was paid 20,000 Ugandan shillings, which is the equivalent of 600 to 700 Kenyan shillings. And in dollars, that is $6 to $7 per article. And each article was published on Saturday. And if there are 4 Saturdays in a month, that makes it $6 to $7 times 4. That was how much I was paid on a monthly scale. Now, right now, that does not sound like a lot of money, but back then, I'm telling you, to a teenager who didn't have bills to pay and it was my own very money to use, that was the most satisfying feeling in the world. Guys, I'm telling you, I remember there were days I would not want to withdraw, but I would just go to the ATM, put in my PIN, and then just enjoy the satisfaction of looking at my bank balance. I remember what I did with the money. I bought, I think, some clothes or what have you, but most of the money I used and saved it to buy my very first camera that I used to start my very fast business adventure, but that will be a topic for another video. Now, getting on to how I got my very first formal paying job. How did yours truly get her very first employed job? Just taking you back a bit. Now, I already told you about the history, how I went to how I went to Cyber College. After Cyber College, I was there from senior 1 to senior 4. Then I went to Vienna College International for my AS and A levels. After which, now I went to Victoria University, did my International Foundation program, and then I went to Mauritius to pursue a British law degree. Now, when I was in Mauritius at the university, I made it a point, every society, every club that I could find and I had the time, I would join. And particularly, there was one association called Middlesex International Students Association Mauritius, and it used to organize career talks and career fairs. So it organized a particular career fair, and there was a certain gentleman, I can never forget his name. He was called Mr. Diane Ristic. He was giving a talk, if I remember correctly, about how to make it, or how to have confidence, or how to write a CV. I don't really remember. But guys, I just remember the way he walked into the room with so much confidence. He had a sense of humor that put all of us at ease. And by then I had a passion for public speaking. So I just wanted to be like him. I wanted to have the confidence and wisdom that he had, because he made us all feel at ease. We did a couple of activities. He talked to us like a dad would talk to, children he cares about. And I was like, I want to learn what this gentleman does, and I want to emulate him, and I want to be like him. So I remember after the talk, I tried to get a hold of him, but unfortunately he was in a rush. And then I did some stalking. I found out that he's also a part-time pastor. That Sunday I went to the church where he is a part-time pastor, and it was an awesome service. After that ended up being the church I usually went to pray with. But besides the point, I remember sitting down there with my nerdy outfit and my bag and Bible. After the service, I was like, okay, I want to talk to this gentleman, but I don't know how to do this. How do I do this? And then I remembered confidence, creativity, critical thinking. So it took all the courage I could muster to walk up to him, because by then, you know how at the end of the service, the pastors, stand out of the church and they shake everyone's hands and thank them for coming to the service. So when I went to shake his hand, I was like, oh my God, Mr. Diane, it's a pleasure to meet you personally. My name is Natalie. You came to our university. You talked about this and this. I loved the way you spoke. I loved your ideas. I'd like you to mentor me. I want to be just like you. And I would appreciate any help or advice you'd give me. I remember he looked at me with this look of amusement, like, okay, who is this tiny girl approaching me and telling me all these things? But he was nice. He laughed. He's like, oh, okay, thank you for your kind words. Have you ever heard of a club called Toastmasters? That's also how I got to join Toastmasters. It's a public speaking organization, for those of you who don't know. That is how you can improve your public speaking skills. And regards to what I do, he told me how he has a magazine called Marketing Mag, and they publish stories regarding the marketing industry, advertising industry. So like, oh my God, that is brilliant. I actually used to do a bit of writing. He's like, really? So I sent to him my articles. So he looked at the articles that I used to do with the New Vision. He saw how I used to write. He's like, oh my God, amazing. I think we could use you on our team. You can work with our main editor. He's called Mike at the time, and then you can help him publish and edit articles. So right then, that is how I got hired. I mean, it felt different because now there's an actual HR. You had to sign like a non-disclosure agreement. Like, it was a proper job. And I remember feeling, excited and okay, wow, this is my first job and I haven't even gotten out of university. Regarding how much I was paid, we sat down, agreed on certain terms and conditions. Of course, I had school, so we had to work out hours that were friendly to the company and also school. We worked out a paying scheme, and then my first salary was 15,000 rupees, which is the equivalent of 500,000 Ugandan shillings and 15,000 Kenyan shillings, and in dollars, $150. So it was exciting. Remember, I was still at campus. My parents were paying for my tuition. They were also sending money for costs like rent and food. So this money was just my own to top up on anything that I wanted or to save towards something great and grander. So I worked with Marketing Mag for 6 years, 6 very good years, because I mean it was an amazing company. He was an amazing boss. I got to meet other people in the company. Hatchings Limited, that was the name of the company. The directors, basically, they took me in, they mentored me, they nurtured me, and I learned so much. That is why I spent such a really long time with them. So of course I started with $150. Then as time went on, because I told you I worked with them for 6 years, I would tell them, okay, I've learned this and this, I can do this. My roles and responsibilities would increase, and then so did my salary. So I came from $150 to $200, then $300, then $400, then eventually $500. By the time I stopped, I ended my contract with them, I was earning up to $500. So it was a really good opportunity, and I was proud because it was my very first job, and the working environment was so conducive. I know there's some people who get first jobs and they're really frustrating, but I would say, lucky that my first job taught me so much. I was able to grow and become a much better person. Alright, so I've taken you through my very first jobs. Of course, I haven't mentioned the other odd jobs that I did. I was, before I worked for Marketing Mag, I did some odd jobs as a waitress at Intercontinental Hotel in Mauritius, and other boutique hotels would go, wash dishes, clean up, wait tables. That was some of the odd jobs that I did. Then also I remember I joined network marketing at a point. I mean, who hasn't, guys? Like, if you haven't joined a network marketing company, you have not hustled. You have not hustled in the streets. But that was before I joined university. So I was the GNLD for a couple of months. I remember I rose until I became a senior manager, and I had about 100 downlines under me. Those who have been through network marketing know what I'm talking about. So it's not something I would do again, but I was also really grateful for the experience and what I learned, people skills especially, because you'd have to talk to people to convince them to join your business. You'd have to motivate the people under you to make sure that they make sales. So it was really a learning experience for me, because by the time I joined, generally I was about 19. So here you are, a 19-year-old, walking down the streets with products, trying to convince people, okay, this is the future, this is the business to be in. So it was fun. I had so much fun, but unfortunately I ended up with that and moved on to other pastures. So yeah, that is what I have done, or what I did to get my first freelance and my first formal job. Alright, so now one may wonder, okay, what is the moral of this story? She's told us how she got her first job, how she got her second job. So, now what? What next? Why I'm sharing this is, if you listen to my story carefully, you'll realize that both my first freelance job and my first formal job, no one told me to do what I did. It was my own initiative. I mean, for the first job, I sat down and wondered, okay, why can't I write? I took it upon myself to write down the articles and send them. My second job, well, I wasn't really looking for a job, it just happened by chance. But the confidence to approach that gentleman and ask him to mentor me was what enabled me to get my second job. Now, there's so many young people out there with much better skills, much better potential than I had at the time, but they're scared, or they have this mentality that they have to wait until they finish school, or they have to do something. Some people even think like you have to sleep with your bosses or your managers. Others think it's a must that you have to get connections. Others think, like, there's so many myths and stereotypes about getting your first job. And I just wanted to share my story in case it inspires anyone out there that it doesn't have to be that way. Just sit down and look around you. Look at your environment and think to yourself, what can I do? What initiative can I take that can enable me to get decent employment? You don't have to sit at home and wait. You yourself, you can decide to go out there, meet people, network. Go out there, learn a new skill or two that you feel can propel you towards getting your first employment. Even if employment is not for you, you still need confidence, critical thinking, creativity to run a business. So the whole point and whole morale of this long video and long story is take matters into your own hands. Don't wait for anybody. People have their own problems. Don't wait for your mom, your dad, your brothers, sisters, friends, etc. Take matters into your own hands. Look at your situation, look at where you are, and start thinking, okay, what are the ways or what are the things I can do that can project me closer towards getting my first decent employment? Or what are the things that can project me closer towards starting my first decent business? And then go ahead and do it. It doesn't matter. Even if you're scared, it's okay to be scared, but just go ahead and do it. Trust me, you won't regret. You will have that feeling of pride and satisfaction. The same feeling that I got when my first article was published after numerous attempts. The same feeling that I got that despite being scared, I approached the gentleman and asked him to mentor me, and then eventually I got a job. But I still went on anyway. So I urge you, go and do it anyway. There's no one better than yourself to go out there and make the best and most of the life you're living right now. So yeah, hopefully you were able to watch it till the end. If you have any questions for me, you can feel free to comment on the comment section below. Or if you have any tips of how you yourself got your first job that you feel others should know, please feel free to share. I mean, sharing is caring, and we're all here to grow and make ourselves better people. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in my next video. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you like this video. And of course, subscribe, share. Let's grow this family to, heights that have never ever been seen before. So cheers, until next time. Bye.